It is Blockchain coming at you with another Bitcoin technical analysis update. For those of you who are new to my channel, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you jump over to my website, blockchaintatrading.com. The link is in the comments below. Actually get a little freebie here. I get my #1 trading strategy that is completely free. You hit this little get in touch. I'll send you a video demonstration of how to set it up, how to apply it, and is consistent and profitable. And again, completely free. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. And then, of course, we do have the exclusive Discord where it is $97 a month. We're offering a 14-day trial right now for just $25, so that we can be able to get in, see what it's about, see if you like it. $5.97 a year, which is half off of the monthly subscription price, so pretty screaming deal there. My masterclass, which I do plan on actually doing another free giveaway just for supporting my channel, coming up in the near future. I did one the past couple months, not doing one currently, but I do plan on doing one again here in the near future, where it actually has the 6 sessions of going into a lot of different aspects of RSI, Elliott wave, a little bit of GAN, all kinds of good stuff. And then, of course, mastering Elliott wave, which is my primary go-to, is Elliott wave. You'll see in my videos. Actually, a $497 to learn from the master himself. So pretty screaming deal with everything that's included. It's just over $5 in value. So pretty good screaming deal on that piece. And then, of course, any trusted vendors in case you needed some referrals. Yeah, that is that. So let's go ahead and dive into the charts real quick. And let's actually do a little bit of an update of what I was looking at before on the overall move. So for those of you who are following along, and especially in the Discord, we're seeing a lot of good movement happen, and a lot of good opportunities to be taken advantage of, even in this corrective state that we're in. So I did a live stream last week. We were able to catch this little wick here. Got a nice scalp out of it and caught the bigger one down here for the longest, projecting right up here to a basically take profit, enter in short. We did get the move down. However, it looks to be more of a 3-wave move down versus a 5-wave to me. So that's something that also is changing things up a little bit. But definitely came down to our target territory right here. Actually, you can see the wick came down just above the 618 at the 33,800 mark. So right in our buy box. And now we are carrying on as well. And it could potentially be corrective, but I also want to go through the scenarios of what could it be if it's impulsive. What is very interesting, I'm actually going to take these guys off just so you can see the wave patterns a little bit better, is I see a 5-wave bounce right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we could potentially be looking at as this guy forms out is a leading diagonal in regards to taking off for a wave 1. And I'll go ahead and just draw those on there so you can see what I'm seeing here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. You probably see it a little bit better on a smaller time frame, but you can see a 5-wave move right there. And overall, what we do want to be aware of is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So what we can do is just take a quick look at, you can see that we've had this bottom trend line here, as well as this upper trend line, where we just kind of created this channel that we are currently in. So a couple interesting zones we also want to pay attention to. So I was looking for a little bit more of a bounce versus what this is right now. Still looks a little undecisive. You can see that we're actually here on the 1 hour, we're just underneath the bullish control zone on Bitcoin. CB index is getting up a little bit. So I think we could still get a little bit of upside to this. Back at the top of the channel puts us right about 38K. I'll throw a tag on that. And then what we also want to pay attention to is just this resistance zone here on the hourly, which is at 39.3. So I don't think we're going to get up that high if this is a leading diagonal. I don't think we're going to get up that high, just because normally it'll stay within the channel. Sometimes a little bit below it, come back down. But what I'd like to see is basically if this is going to be a leading diagonal, basically do a 1, 2, come back down, find this pivot as support, and then take off for a 3, 4, and a 5 to get us up to some new highs. So we'll see what this plays out. And then we could also potentially look at seeing is if this is just a zigzag correction that it bounced off of in a 3-wave move, basically a 5, 3, and a 5. So that's also what we have to pay attention to beyond scenario. It's not, Bitcoin isn't exactly making this easy at the moment. So let's actually, oh, wrong way, sorry. Let's try that one more time. So you can see with this little reset here, we did come down, we hit the 0.5, but basically what we could be looking at is zigzag for an ABC right here, and then a corrective 3-wave move back. Basically it would be another A, B, and then a C down, and then ultimately still have another C that takes off and goes up. So that would look something like, this would be the A, this would be the B, and then we would have a C potentially, so something like that. So I know it's kind of getting into some of the smaller time frames in regards to what we're looking at, but I'll dive into a little bit smaller, see if any kind of way structures make sense. But with this move is, doesn't offer any kind of clarity on this little bounce from what I'm looking at. So kind of in the middle of a couple zones, but if we drop it down to the 15, we'll see some other different pivots and resistance zones to pay attention to that could give us potentially a little bit of insight. So what I would like to see is if this is it almost looks like it came down in a 5-wave fashion. This is just a slow, steady climb. So let's actually go ahead and pull this guy. What I've been noticing a lot on these corrections is it's been hitting the 786 on a lot of the corrections. So this little zone right here, I guess between the 786 and the 886, if we get a rejection here, and then we potentially would see our 3-wave move, basically our A and our B and our C. Then we can start looking at a target here to the downside. But you can see that we, just had this slow, steady climb on the RSI. CB index has just been chilling up on the top. Even the market liberator is getting a little overexhausted. So normally when we have just this slow, steady climb, normally we'll actually have a pretty decent drop to it. So I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards this being a corrective move right here for example, just the B wave. So I'm actually pretty interested in the 786 with the 37, what is that, 3769 mark. Between this and the R1 that we have at 37,240 roughly. So this little zone right here, I'll probably throw in a short and see what kind of move we get to the downside, because it's going to be super easy in validation if we get above that. In my mind, then we're possibly looking at something else. The problem is if we get above this, it is possible that we could have an expanded B pocket. But we'll also kind of see what kind of formation this does if we get up there, because we have the expanded B pocket, which could potentially put us up at the end of a 5th wave scenario at that 38.2 at the 1.236. So all scenarios on the table. Sometimes in this corrective mess, that's the problem, is there's more options versus a clear, impulsive wave. But when you go again on the 5-minute, this is where we try and get a little bit of clarity in regards to some wave structures. It's pretty easy to see that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. This is a 5-wave move up, and so is this one down here for the wave 1. Again, pretty easy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks to me more of a zigzag versus this guy right here. There's no clear move to get this in any kind of real 5-wave motion. It's just kind of just bounces all over the place. So that's where my struggle is in regards to having this be another impulsive leg, because if this was a 5th wave right here, then it would also need to be a 5-wave move going up. So I'm more interested. It is possible that, honestly, with the RSI and the price, if we, honestly break this trend line, I think it would actually be a pretty decent short to the downside. But I don't think we're quite there yet. But I am pretty interested at 37K and having looking for another rejection on this guy personally. So at 37 to 42. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to the 15-minute, and this is what I wanted to show you on the RSI. Yep. See how we just been just riding our fast-moving EMA, just riding it up. Normally when that happens and we get a break, it's a pretty substantial break to the downside, especially when we ride it all the way up to the top. So that's what I'm looking for. I would honestly, depending, first stop would be 36.196, and then 35.116 after that really would be my two targets for a short down for for a C wave. But we got to come down on a 5-wave fashion for it to be a C wave. All right. Cool. So let's take a quick look at ETH real quick. All right. ETH is actually looking a little bit more impulsive on this move. It's still getting a little on the extreme side. You can see it hit that R2 and had a pretty nice rejection on it from 1279 to 1259 where we're at currently. So we hit that and got a pretty nice rejection, but it does look to me, doesn't look like it. If it is a 5-wave, it doesn't look like it's quite done yet. So, make I just get another leg up and double top. And let's go back and look at the bigger picture here. Kind of similar, a little, I guess, somewhat similar to what Bitcoin is here, in regards to seeing this as a 5-wave. 1, 2. Not a big fan of this structure. 1, 2, 4, 5. It's possible, but it looks to be all corrective. And honestly, this just looks like a B wave overall on ETH. It's not a clear 5-wave move. It's kind of a mess. It looks like it tried to come off impulsively, but we didn't get there. And you can see, we're sitting right underneath that R1 resistance on the hourly. So sometimes when we kind of get this, we're going to just roll over, and then we'll get an equal leg to this to the downside. So if we did probably equal leg would put us roughly at the S2. Let's see. Yeah, pretty close. Put us right at the S2. So which would be 893. But what we want to pay attention to as well is if this is going to be corrective, which is the way that I'm leaning at the moment. It depends where we top out at for one. But we could also bounce off of the 618, which is right above the S1. So these are going to be our two areas to watch. if we get a leg down. It also depends if we might still get one more little leg up as well, give us a nice little double top rejection for that other C wave to come back down, establish support again, and then take off from there. So that's what I'll be looking for on ETH. All right, let's dive into XTZ. So on the last video, I was looking for it to come up to that 2.8, have a rejection, and it did. I mean, it went right back down to 2.48. You can see this wick right here. We had this pump and then dump, and then it just, continued to take right back off. We didn't get continuation, so that buy up right there was really our indicator that this was going to continue up north. Again, this can be a 5-wave move. This is a little bit clearer of a 5-wave move up than what a normal move is. So we'd have our 1, this would be our 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 right here for a 3, and then our 4th down, and then a 5th leg up. So this to me is coming across as a clear impulse wave than some of the, or I guess a clearer 5-wave move than what Bitcoin or what ETH is looking at. And really kind of comes down to this correction right here. But however, with this correction down, this looks to be more of again, a 3-wave fashion right here. So again, would still look for it to come back down. Basically where we are right now, bounce off the pivot, a 3-wave move, and then really continue to the north side on it. So let's throw a little tag on that. And then I'm sure we'll also have the 618 to pay attention to as well right here at 2.8 we'll want to look at. So sometimes when we're dealing with these corrections, there's just so many more options that are on the table that it's not quite as definitive in what we're looking at for a potential 5-wave move up. But what we were looking at is this being a wave 1, 2, this being a 3, and then a 4 and a 5, which honestly we could be looking at a larger scale leading diagonal here on XTZ. All right, and then let's take a quick look at DOT, and then if we got time, then I'll dive into XRP because we're already 17 minutes in. So DOT just on a tear has that continuation on that we were looking for a larger 5th wave, and it looks to be that we got it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for our larger 5th wave, hit our 17.9 target, and looks like that is I'd call it done at this point. For that 5th wave target at 17.9, which was beautiful. Didn't quite get to the 6.618, which is okay, but a pretty delicious call on this DOT move for those of you that were following along with it. So being that we did have a rejection down, might have a little bit of correction, but I would look to have some sort of continuation to the downside on this guy. And then just simply to help reset. But what's also interesting is on the 1 hour, if you look at the RSI, it is reset. Like same thing on the market liberator, CB index. It's incredible how much this is actually reset from this little bit of a move here. So we might just dance around a little bit under this R1. I would expect for us to come back and at least retest the pivot. And basically look for, this looks like a 3-wave, but would look for a little bit more of an ABC here. Get a little something like that, and that before launching off, because this overall could be a wave 1, 2, and then going up for a 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and we're looking at DOT being at $100 plus. So we'll have to stay very close with this one, but DOT I see is long haul. I think it's got a lot of potential by looking at some of these other indicators here. And let's see. Cool. Yeah, looks like that is really about it, guys. I'll do a quick few on Link. Definitely did not get the correction I was looking for on Link. So we did come up. We snagged with a 5-wave move. Again, looks to be completed 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 at 23. 23.07. And with this guy down here, what's interesting is it looked to come off as a 3-wave motion. So that's kind of overall what has definitely threw me off on this. But we can still basically have this as an A, this is a B, and then this is a C. So that's actually going to be more of the way that I'm leaning on this guy. And we're kind of just right back above that trend line. So with where we are at the moment, this trend line and that pivot is what's also going to be important targets. So we're back above the trend line. And this kind of just comes down to if this trend line holds or not. Let's go to the 4-hour real quick. It does look to be a overall 3-wave move versus a 5-wave, which means ultimately we would have to come back down and reset to an extent with a 3-wave move down before we could take off impulsively. But it does look to be that it did complete the C wave up and is going to need a reset. Let's take some of these guys off. Just curious what extension it hit. Yeah, it hit a nice little 1-to-1 extension up here. So I'd look for some consolidation, but I would look for further move down to a minimum of the pivot at 18.4, honestly, and kind of go from there. So sometimes you just got to take it level by level and let some of the wave structures play out, because especially when we're at these topping formations, it's hard to call for sure exactly what it's going to look like on a corrective move back down. So but would for sure look for zones in this area on the downside, and it kind of just depends how we come down to look for a continuation. But to me, it looks like pretty much across the board we hit a little bit of a top, and we need to consolidate and correct a little bit before we can continue on further. So that's what I have for you guys today. As always, make sure you guys smash the likes, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the Discord, and let's stack that crypto, guys. Let's get it.